Roblox is filled with whatever garbage is on the front page and whatever the algorithm decides to blast that day, though in the more recent years there were a few games that somehow survived years of the platform changing around them, at which Revenge of the Slimes is one of those games. This game was abandoned years ago and its core mechanics still hold up so well that it maintains an active player base even if it's quite small. Where other games would die, this game is still alive. Revenge of the Slime survives all these years later because its mechanics are focused on enjoyment rather than relying on daily login rewards or battle passes. Admittedly, those methods do indeed work, but instead of just playing the game because the game is fun, you start playing because the game is constantly nudging you to come back and grind something. These systems aren't pure because they exist more for player retention rather than enjoyment. In Revenge of the Slimes, you build a base, slime shows up, you shoot them. You can understand the system in like 5 minutes. This game lacks a tutorial because you don't need one as the game explains things very quickly. And that's where the interesting part is. You can just spawn in and the game starts existing around you. Because it feels like this game accidentally came from a time when Roblox didn't really overcomplicate things yet, when games are allowed to just be games and aren't overstuffed with microtransactions. That still happened a lot, but especially wasn't as bad as now. No log in daily or you fall behind forever design philosophy. It's literally as basic as it gets. Just survive, upgrade, repeat. And somehow that simplicity is why it still holds up. Despite this game's simple gameplay, there's actually a decent layer of depth. The slimes move by gravity, and you can use that to diverge them to the other side of the map, making them deal less damage to your base. While not very complicated, you can gradually learn this as you play the game more. Even for an older audience, it's still a decent quick play option if you can't think of anything else to play. A game's mass appeal makes it easy to pick up, especially for something like Revenge of the Slimes. Revenge of the Slimes easily allows anyone to help. Nobody needs to be assigned teamwork because the base game is just that simple that anyone can figure it out. Every goddamn thing you build here contributes to the same goal of survive. You can just spam stuff everywhere and it just works. Griefing is very rare and you can expect your teammates to just build random junk and it will still be contributing as they'll delay the green blobs. The aspect of everything helps while having a smaller layer of depth actually makes as well because this game attracts a younger audience. The point isn't that the game has quite a bit of strategies. The point here is that the game just has a bunch of interesting mechanics that hold up almost a decade later because they actually make the game fun. Which is unironically crazy that I have to pray basic knowledge in this day and age. Since Revenge of the Slime stopped development years ago, we're stuck with a limited quantity of blocks. While it's a shame to not get more, I think what we currently have is more than enough. We have the basics, walls, random shit nobody uses, and turrets. Interestingly, what makes a block tanky is the fact that it contains more parts. Instead of the stereotypical HP system made of numbers, the blocks are made of parts. Till this day, I have yet to see a game make an interesting health system based around how many parts instead of the parts having number values with the sole exception of games like Armored Patrol. It's crazy that there are a lot of opportunities to make an interesting concept with Roblox's gravity and part system, as this is basically one of the only games I know that does this, which is fucking crazy. One thing I also appreciate is that the game almost never fights the player, but a surprising number of Roblox games feel like they're constantly putting obstacles between you and actually playing. You spawn in, claim your daily reward, open 3 menus, collect some quests, equip your new badge, and only then you'll actually get to play the game. Revenge of the Slime skips all of that. If you fail, it's usually because your base wasn't good enough or your team got overwhelmed, not because some progression system decided you weren't high enough level. Despite what I pointed out earlier, having no updates makes this game get very repetitive. Once you play the game, there's nothing much new. The endgame consists of having all the upgrades and a shit ton of money with nothing to spend it on. But at this point, there isn't anything worth getting. But that isn't a flaw unique to Revenge of the Slimes. That's just what happens to games that don't get updates. Eventually, the game gets to a point where you've experienced everything. There's nothing left, and then you leave. The difference here is that most modern games try to hide that fact by adding battle passes, some sort of occasional quest mechanic, or even a constant stream of seasonal or limited time content. You'll always have something to do. Not because the game itself got more interesting, rather they just added a bunch of new stuff to get you playing longer. And that's fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with adding new content to make the game feel fresh. If the only reason people log in or click on the game is because of a new class, item, badge, collectible, skins, or some exclusive item that'll vanish within the next month, then the gameplay is not why people stick around. It's the fear of missing out. As players repeat this process more and more, they will eventually get exhausted to the point of the fear of missing out. This is known as FOMO. It's not something to worry about too much, but for game development, this needs to be handled carefully, as its main influence is the game's longevity. Relying on limited content to maintain a player count will eventually lead to the game's downfall. Players are not statistics. They are people. If they get tired of the same cycle, they will leave. You can keep adding new items, skins, and limited time events, but if the actual game never improves, there will be nothing left to keep players around. And this is where Revenge of the Slimes gets interesting. It doesn't have a constant stream of updates that games these days rely on, so eventually you will reach the end of what the game has to offer. But at least when you leave, you've experienced everything Revenge of the Slimes had to offer, and not because it gave an unlimited amount of things to grind. And with that, that's about it. See ya.